I want to talk about safety because I know that has a lot to do with what you're doing there at NSSF. And quite frankly, I think firearm safety is something that's important to everyone, whether or not you carry a firearm, because you may come across a firearm that was discarded, that was dropped. I mean, there's a million scenarios where you can come into contact with a firearm, and if you can't handle it safely, there's a good chance you're going to have an unintended discharge, and that could result in property damage, or worse yet, it could result in injury or loss of life. So, even if someone's not a gun guy or a gun gal, they need to understand basic firearm safety.
Firearm safety education is really at the core of so much of what NSSF does. And we have so many programs and publications that support that. I mean, the industry is really leading the effort, right? Information in the product manuals, programs that NSSF does, publications that we put out, videos, etc. Teaching, safe and responsible storage and use of firearms. So, for example, we have a program now, it's over 25 years old, called Project Child Safe, where we've distributed 41 million plus firearm safety education kits all across the United States, in every state and U.S. territory, partnering with law enforcement agencies. Yep. And, we provide a firearm safety education kit that includes a cable-style gun lock to encourage people to secure their firearms when not in use, to keep them inaccessible from children or anybody else who can't be trusted to use it in a responsible fashion. I mean, the lock is, one way to do that, but every firearm made can be secured by, any manner of, whether it's a safe, a lockbox, a lock cabinet, etc. And that's what's important, right? It's making sure you're, with rights, you have a right to own a firearm, but it comes with responsibilities, and you have to safely secure your firearm when not in use. And how you do that is different for every person. There is no one size fits all. But we're very proud of the fact that, firearm safety education is working, that accidental firearm deaths are, at record lows since record keeping began. And we think that all of these efforts, not just by NSSF, by Second Amendment groups, hunter education, NRA, etc., but also including Project Child Safe and the educational messages coming from the industry members, are an important part of why those numbers are declining. And we're very proud of that.
Yeah, that's hugely important work. I remember our police department would hand those cable locks out. And it seems to me that since then, because I may be going back 15 years or so, but since then, it seems like a lot of times when you purchase a firearm, it's coming with a cable lock or something like that. So that's a good thing too.
Since the mid to late 90s, members of the industry have been providing a free locking device with every new firearm that gets shipped from the factory. Retailers make them available to consumers to purchase at every gun store. And federal law for almost 20 years now is required that when a dealer, an FFL, transfers a handgun, it has to provide a locking mechanism, basically, a cable lock or something like that, with whenever they transfer a handgun, new or used. So there are, no shortage of locking devices and mechanisms. And we we encourage people to use them. It's in every product manual. For a firearm you can pick up. It talks about the importance of securing firearms so you don't have accidents and bad things occurring.
You brought up a really good point, Larry, which is there's not one size fits all as far as how do you secure your firearm. We all know, like you said, we have to be able to secure our firearm from criminals or from people who are unauthorized users because they're not responsible enough, whether that's a children or could be an adult that you don't want to have access to a gun. But
somebody who's depressed and suicidal or something like that.
But how you do that is going to be dependent on the individual. And for me, I have quite a few guns compared to maybe the average person, but they're secured. They're on my person or they're secured just because I don't want, even though I trust my kids are older, but my grandkids, right? Someone comes in the house, I just don't want that to be a possibility. So
Right.
I make sure they're secured, which I'm sure virtually everybody does. But what works for me may not work for someone else. One of the things that's real popular that sort of splits the difference are those kind of nightstand safes that can either be biometric or type in a code type of thing. And you can have immediate access to a firearm, and you can keep it, it's up to you if you do this, but you could keep it loaded in there. That way, when it opens, you have that, maybe you have a light, and you're ready to protect yourself. Sometimes you can err on the side of safety to such a degree that all of your firearms are in a closet safe that requires a combination or something to get to. And then by the time, cops are going to be there to investigate the thing by the time you get your gun out of the safe. So you got to figure out what works for you.
Exactly. Everyone has to find that balance that works for them. But the key principle is that, they're secured from unauthorized access. Again, whether it's a child, youth, or somebody else that might be in the household who can't be trusted to use it in a responsible manner. And there are endless ways that you can do this. Gun safes, quick access lock boxes like you described, cable locks, etc. The key thing is that you make your firearms inaccessible to unauthorized individuals when not in use, right? So if you're carrying on your person, it's in use. If you're, unfortunately, there are still some small number of people who don't act responsibly. And, it's very, very troubling to see that happen because it's unnecessary. But, but that's the point of Project Child Safe, is to provide, firearm safety education. We partner with local law enforcement, just like you did when you were a police officer, and to distribute these locks. And again, it's over 41 million that we have distributed all over the country. And the program's been going on for just over 25 years now. We're very, very proud of it.